Today we're going to go to my wife's work, pick up her car, and go to O'Reilly's and pick up the new struts we got for the front. You can do the complete struts where you buy the whole assembly already assembled from top to bottom. You just take out like 4 bolts on each side, pull it out, throw the new one in, and be done. That's not going to be the case that we're going to do on the front of her car. We're going to throw some Bilstein shocks on, which require disassembly of the old ones and putting the spring from the old one to the new one and the top hats. So here we go. Stay tuned. Alrighty, we made it over to her car. So now we're going to jump in, steal this thing, go put some gas in it, go pick up the shocks, and go back to the house. And now we're on our way home. Got the Bilsteins loaded up. So here we go. Alright, so here it is before. I already measured the rear from the ground to the top of the fender, and then the front from the ground to the top of the fender. And the rear is actually down 1/2 of an inch. So I think that I got the wrong rear struts on this thing, because it definitely sits low. It's like bulldogging without even a leveling kit or anything. So these tires are garbage too. Already got little cracks in them. They're not even that old. So yeah, let's pull this thing in there and get this thing torn apart. They didn't have the top hats that go on the top of the strut, so we're going to see the condition of these. If these need to be replaced, then we'll just hold off, but if they're good, then we'll continue. Alrighty, so here we are. Step 1, jack it up, hit it with a jack stand, then remove the tire. I guess that'd be 1, 2, and 3, but here we go. Alrighty, so we got the wheel removed. We just have the 6 lug nuts. Then we have the 3 upper strut bolts and the 2 lowers. We're gonna remove this nut, swing this up, and then that'll allow us to pull this through here. We may have to undo the tie rod as well, and potentially the sway bar to get the lower control arm low enough, because it'll be fighting against the other side if not. So here we go. Alrighty, so we got this nut loose. Tapped it right there with a hammer a little bit. This was a 21. And then now we can pry this down, or potentially just lower the jack since it's holding up pressure. And then we'll be able to get this nut off all the way to release the tension, because the rubber bushings is what's holding this up. Alrighty, so we got this out of the way. Ball joint's pretty sloppy, so we're gonna go ahead and price out some new upper control arms with the ball joint, because they are very loose. And then I went ahead and took this off for the brake line and the wheel speed sensor. It's just an 8 and a 10 that go right here in the back of the spindle. The nuts on the bottom of this is 2, I think it's 17s, 2 18s. So we got 18s on the bottom of this, 18 right here, and an 8 on there. And then you can just go like this, and you would actually put the ratchet and tightening on the top. Put the ratcheting wrench the right direction. So then this will spin the bolt down and bring the nut up. So let me jack this jack up, take some tension off. And don't forget to support your knuckle so that your brake line doesn't stretch and pop whenever you put it back together and go to drive for the first time. Just like that. We can get this the rest of the way. this over here. And I did take off the nut up here for the top of the shock because I don't have the spring compressor. I'm going to try and do it that way and see if I can successfully remove this and leave the top hat up there. Okay, now I got to support this. So let me go get something to hold this back and see if we can get this baby out of here. All right, so I literally did it the most complicated and hardest way, but without using a spring compressor. So I had to undo the tie rod to get this knuckle to go as low as it possibly could. And once it was as low as it possibly could go, oof, I'm out of breath. Took off the 3 nuts for the top hat, and then this fell down, and I was able to pick this up just enough so that it would slide out and then pull the whole assembly straight up. And this shock is 1,000,000% blown out. Yeah, it's like super catchy and like literally nothing good in there. So get this bushing or this bump stop off of here. And then we have to get this off of here. And we have to get that. And to get that, it should just be able to pop straight down. So let me prop my phone up and see if I can tap this baby off. Whoopsie. Rather nice. You're supposed to get it past this. Guess that's how you do it. So this part gets reused. This little snap ring thing stays because the new one comes with one. I will go grab it now. Whoops. Okay, so here's the new one with the spring on there. This will be 0 lift, 1/2 inch, and 1 inch lift. And we're gonna go with no lift. And then this will go down. Clean this baby up real quick. Get a towel and make this baby looking good. Clean this bushing off too. Okay, so we got that all cleaned up nice. This can go back onto here. And we will have to orientate this correctly and really pay much attention to how it came out. It's pretty neat. Then this bump stop will go back on here. I don't believe that this goes on this new one. Wouldn't think that it would have to. Not sure what its purposes are. Maybe to save that seal on the top. Okay, so I stand corrected. We are going to have to take this off. And this does not get reused, I don't believe. Yeah, so this does not get reused. On here though, how I thought it was 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So there's a description right here. This fits a 14 to 2018 plus expeditions. So 1 is not recommended for 14 to 17 expedition. Stock ride height, 1 inch lift. And then for 2018 and plus, this is stock ride height, 0.8 inch lift, 1.6 inch lift. So we'll be popping this up to here since this is a 2015 to get it to stock ride height. And then we will continue on our way. It is spicy down here in Florida. Okay, so just like that, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So it appears that it goes like this. Then the next thing will be the spring. Actually, it'll be this bump stop. This bump stop is in really good shape. So it's just being dirty. Okay, so we got that on. Now we just have to get the spring and the top hat. Cool. Okay, so it turns out if you're very extremely cautious and mindful of everything, and you are extremely understanding of the risk, you can remove this and reinstall it without a spring compressor. As you can see right here, I got the nut on there. Got my ball joint holding the knuckle back up. So now I can tighten this down and then keep on the reinstallation. Probably should have put that in there before I went up too high. So I will address this real quick and we'll keep on rocking and rolling. Okay, so all I did was let the jack down just a little bit. Got this to pop back in, got the nut on there, pried this down, put that on there, and yeah, I'll keep on tightening up everything. Start with this tie rod, then we'll do the ball joint, and we'll jack it up and, like I said, continue on. Alrighty, so we got the lowers tightened, tie rod tightened, sway bar link tightened, brake caliper on, lock tightened, upper ball joint tightened, the 3 uppers for the top hat tightened, and the 1 nut for the shock assembly itself tightened. The only thing that I had to do to get this lower control arm down far enough was to loosen these, which messes with the alignment. So I'm going to try to tighten up the nut basically where there's, like if the nut went right here, then there'd be like a perfect spot where it's clean. And I'm going to try to put the nut right back on that clean spot instead of off to the side or anything like that. so the alignment will be closed till I can bring it to the alignment shop tomorrow morning, which is only like 3 or 4 miles. But yeah, keep on rocking and rolling on to the other side once I get these tightened and the wheel thrown on here. So basically this is what it'll look like if you undo everything the way that I did. You can pick this upper control arm up just a little bit, and then all this will come out, and you can just separate this. Okay, Google, pause. That blown out shock. Thing as hard as a rock. It's pretty neat. Get the bushing off. This thing doesn't give at all. So we will clean this up, knock this off, put it on the new one, keep rocking and rolling. Okay. So now that we have the shock with the little clip to the second one, threw this back on after we cleaned it, threw the shock on after we cleaned it, threw the bushing on there after we cleaned it, top. So you just set it in there. I got these bolts just thrown through there, and you want to carefully, very slowly jack it up, and then go right in here, and then you can pull the shock. Once you have just a little bit of pressure on it, you can see the pin coming straight through the hole through there now. And that's how we are going to do it. So I'll just keep jacking this up, and then the nut will be able to go on the top with the new washer. Okay, Google, pause. Couple more jacks. See it coming through. So it's just settling in there now. Give her a couple more pumps. You can see studs sticking through. So we get our new washer and our new nut that has the plastic nylock on it. So our washer, shiny side up. Throw the nut on there. And all 3 of these are loose for the top hat, and the nuts aren't on these yet. So we can get these nuts on the bottom now. Okay, now we're gonna tighten these, and then we're gonna tighten this top one, which on this one we'll have to use a wrench. I think it's a 19 and then an 8mm on a ratchet to go onto there, because if not, then the whole shaft will move through. And once we get those 2 tight, then we will tighten these 3. And yeah, before we get to that, we need to lower this back down again, because I realized that I didn't put the sway bar link back through there again, which is no big deal. We'll just lower it down a little bit, pop it in, jack it back up, put the nut on that, and we'll keep rocking and rolling. And then also this ABS wire can stay connected. I just popped it out of the hole up there, and this one right here, and then it's supposed to be looped this way, but when it dropped all the way down, it's easier to have it on the front, and then to pull this through here, because it is supposed to go like this. So just pop that out of there, pull it through here, just to give more slack whenever this goes down, because this has to rest on the ground. And I gotta straighten that out too, because I missed with my hammer. So yeah, So far so good. And then whenever you do put the spring on, you do want to make sure that it's resting right there in the perfect spot, just like this is. So that's good to go. All right, and last but not least, make sure you torque everything. I'm not going to leave the torque specs in the comments, but they're out there somewhere. Everything on here is all tightened down, Loctite where it's needed, like on the caliper bolts. And the upper 3 bolts on the strut itself. Need to get rid of these 2-piece sockets. So yeah, everything's good. Got all the wheels torqued. I'm gonna clean my tools up and take it for a ride around the block after I wash my hands. And we should be all good. I think I already showed it, but let's see, the driver's side shock. It's kind of like stuck at the top, and then it was like super bouncy, like it's just air. And then the one for the passenger side, I couldn't get it to go down at all. Won't even budge. So yeah, get all this stuff cleaned up. And another thing, since we have the calipers off, always pump the brakes before you put it in reverse. Because since we have the caliper depressed, the pads won't be set. Then you'll pump the brakes for the first time and they'll almost set. And you'll throw it in reverse, and then you'll keep on going until you keep pumping the brakes to make it stop. And hopefully you do that before you run into something. So yeah, enough talking. I'll get to cleaning. All right, last but not least, got all our wheels torqued. Gonna go nibble on a little snacky snack and go bring this baby for a test drive. So if you found this video helpful, hit that like, subscribe. Like 90% of the people that watch the videos are unsubscribed, so if you just hit that subscribe button, we're definitely gonna keep on doing some more content on this one. My 17 F150 with a 2.7 EcoBoost, the 95 Ranger with the Mercedes diesel swap, the 03 F150 4.2 V6, that was my brother's, and then my 94 F150 single cab long bed, that was my dad's. And we have the 90 something Carolina Skiff. We're going to be putting Don't Mind the Mess, this console, and that 40 horse on there. So go for a ride in just a minute. Stay tuned. And now we go for the first test drive. And I thought we were going to turn here or down our street. First time driver, everybody.
I forgot I needed to turn.
You gonna put the windows up? Put some pep in your step. Easy, Grandma. Don't break my neck.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's blowing right at me, really close enough.
That's a lot better already.
Definitely feels a lot more stable on the road. You like it?
Yeah.
Thanks.